Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Is it okay if we do this now, or?
Yeah, no, it's totally fine. You're just talking to me and my good friend Danny, who has contributed absolutely nothing to the band, but
Oh, hi.
honestly, like just in spirit, he kind of like fleshes out the rest of us. So
Hi. Thanks so much for.
that's
Can you please introduce yourself and tell me a fun fact about you?
yes. My name is Patrick Gilchrist. I sing in a band called Not My Weekend, and I have an extra rib.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So can you tell me a little bit about how you guys became a band?
How we came together.
Yeah.
So at this point, everyone in the band has changed except myself. But Nick joined my junior year of high school, and he's been in it with me ever since. So, um, shoot, almost 4 years now. And then my freshman year of college and Noah's senior year, we met up, or senior year of high school, we met up, and he had been really interested in pop punk and wanted to play in a band, and he knew how to play bass, so he joined on bass. And then, three drummers later, he just learned how to play drums because he's so committed to this band. So he's incredible. And then we met Ed at a Real Friends show 2 years ago. We were hanging out with my friends and Real Friends, and he was guitar teching for a band called Have Mercy. And I asked if he wanted to come play some shows, and he played a short tour with us in 2 years ago. I guess 3 years ago now, 2016. And then he's been in the band ever since. So yeah, that's us.
Amazing. I kind of love how you guys came together through a bunch of different components, and it just kind of works.
Yeah, it makes me. I think about this a lot actually. So it's the band is one of my high school friends, one of my college friends, and one of my music friends. So I think it's cool.
So,
Yeah.
do you mind telling me what bands influence you guys?
Um. Uh. Myself specifically, my big three are a band called Bowling for Soup. They really got me into music. And then All Time Low and the Jonas Brothers really inform how I write songs. So those are my big three.
Speaking of writing songs, what is your writing process like?
My writing process, I mean, it changes every time. There's no right answer. More or less, most often I'd say a vocal melody and lyrics kind of come to me at the same time. And then I'll just find chords make that complement that well on an acoustic guitar. And then I'll build a good idea of what I think the rest of the song should sound like in my computer. So I'll make fake drums and fake bass and record my guitar chords, and I'll add piano or synthesizers or any other elements that I think would work. And then I'll show it to my band members, and if we all think we like it, then we'll work on it. And they'll add parts, and if it's something that I don't like, then it doesn't make it in, and if I think it makes it better, then it does. And then the song's done.
You mentioned guitar. Can you tell me how you came to pick the guitar as your instrument?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, Bowling for Soup was one of my biggest inspirations, and specifically, my mom took me to one of their concerts when I was 11. And I think 2 months later, I held my own garage sale at my parents' house in Oklahoma, and saved up a bunch of money to buy a starter kit from Sam's Club, and I've just been playing every day ever since.
Do you have a guitar that's your favorite?
Yeah, I had played a guitar called a Gibson SGX. It's my dream guitar. I have a couple guitars, but that's like my guitar. It's on every record. I play it at every show. I would never do anything without it. I love it to death.
That's so cute. I love the way, kind of like the instrument's an extension of yourself. That
Absolutely. And that guitar specifically, I was really, really obsessed with for a really long time. It was on Fall Out Boy's first album. It was on All Time Low's first album. It got discontinued in '98. They're really hard to find. The headstock is different than other Gibsons. And my mom got it for me for my 18th birthday, and it's never left my side.
That's so nice. So, when you're writing songs, what is your favorite part of a song that you've ever written? It could be a lyric, a guitar riff, or a drum cadence, or a bass beat, anything.
I really, really, really like the riff in our song "When You're Around." Um, I think it, I think it really grabs the listener's attention. And I remember I was trying to write a song that sounded like Tiny Moving Parts, but I'm so much worse than Tiny Moving Parts. That one little riff was the only part of it that worked. So I just based the entire tune around it, and that makes me really happy. And then I just kind of I like a lot of my lyrics. I like to think I write lyrics different than most people. I try and make them weird and cringy and um, kind of make you want to turn your head. Like I really like another lyric in the song "When You're Around." you'd be number one in MySpace top 8. I want to see a red heart next to your Snapchat name. I want to write lyrics about you that hipsters think are lame. Like, I think that's super stupid, but I don't think anyone else would write it. You know what I mean?
No, I definitely get it. I kind of feel like lyrics like that are relatable and fun to listen to.
And see, and that's what I want to be, is because I feel, I mean, without talking shit, I feel like there's so many bands that write quote unquote relatable lyrics, but it's literally just like the words "I miss you." You know, like I get it. I think the stuff that is what I kind of want to achieve stands out. Like, do you listen to Halsey?
Yes.
She's got this new song, the "You Should Be Sad," I think is what it's called, and that "I'm so glad I never ever had a baby with you" line is so freaking weird, but it makes me want to keep listening to the song, you know?
Mm-hmm. It kind of like grabs you in and makes you want to listen to more.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Billie Eilish is a good example of that. The "Wish You Were Gay" line is super clever. The entirety of "Bad Guy" is just weird enough, and she just won every Grammy that you can possibly win. So
that's so true.
Yeah.
Okay, my next question for you is, can you please tell me the story behind your EP Yellow?
Yes, absolutely. So we were on tour in 2017, just kind of playing songs and trying to figure out who we were as a band, and we met this producer named Neil Engel. He does all the drums for the Dance Gavin Dance records, and we're obsessed with the mixes on those records, so we knew we wanted to work with him. And then he was in Portland, I should say. And then we went out to Portland and just decided we were going to make an EP with him. And he helped me kind of rein in my songwriting. I was getting a little bit too creative for my own good, you know, instead of just like writing good songs. And he helped me realize that and really kind of honed what we were doing. And then we just got super weird. You know, I don't want to be a band that has an album of songs that sound like the same song 10 times in a row. And he really encouraged that idea, and we just went through every single little idea I had ever had in my computer and just picked the absolute weirdest stuff. So When You're Around, which I've already mentioned twice now, kind of drove the whole EP. We knew we wanted to do that song, and then from there we just picked different vibes. So Yellow is the song specifically is super electronic and bizarre, so we were like, yeah, let's do it. Fires like kind of honed that pop punk friendship vibe that, you know, we never really had on a song. Love was a song that I didn't want to put out, and I remember Neil saying to me, it's because you so desperately don't want to put it out that it is that good. And so yeah, he made me realize a lot of stuff. And then and then we finished it and we sat on it for a year I think I sent it to like 5,000 different emails or something like that. I forget the number, but I literally just emailed it to people for a calendar year. And then the label We Are Triumphant got back to us, said they wanted to put it out. I really appreciated them because I had just been, you know, cold emailing it to people that didn't care at all. And he was like, I really hear something here. And then we toured on it for another year, and it was a dream come true and still is. Yeah, I mean, it's a weird thing to try and get somebody to listen to a band that at the time has actually zero notoriety or success of any kind and just say we've made something good. So I appreciate Greg Long and the people at We Are Triumphant for taking the time and then thinking that it was going to work and then working with us. They what they do with Spotify and YouTube is beyond me, and I give them a lot of credit for getting the ball rolling, so to speak.
This is kind of why I really wanted to start doing these interviews. I feel like the bands I reach out to, at least, I feel like this is an outlet for us to portray the music of the coming generation. And I think a lot of bands, even if they're signed to a label, if they're not signed to a label, they deserve to be in the spotlight and get their moment of kind of fame. So that's why I love doing these. And I'm going to say that you mentioned Spotify earlier. What is your opinion of streaming services like Spotify?
It's cool. I use both Spotify and Apple Music, and I use Apple Music more often because it's easier. I think it's easier to keep organized as far as like your personal playlist and things like that. But obviously, I can't argue with Spotify's reach. I think like 95% of people that listen to us at all listen to us on Spotify, and every other streaming service or possible avenue of listening to us is divided up between that other 5%, which is crazy. No one's had a foothold like that in music ever in history. I think it's different. I think the industry's already successfully adapted. There was a couple years ago where no one was making any money and labels were going to fail and all this stuff, but they just started selling t-shirts and started doing brand deals. And then that was it, so we've never made a cent off our Spotify. And we've almost got 1 million plays and we haven't made a cent. We couldn't. I think I crunched the numbers, and I think to make the money back on our EP, we would have to hit something like 8 million plays overall. Wow. So I don't count on it as a revenue source. Even if I was Jonas Brothers level famous, I would count on it as being 0.1% of my revenue. But I like that. I think it would be really, really, really hard for bands like myself's band, or maybe bands like our friends in Divided Minds or First and Forever, to just start, hardly play any shows, put up a song, and get 100,000 plays in 6 months, or even more so. Billie Eilish and Lil Nas X had never played a show in their life before they hit 10 million plays or something like that. That's unheard of, and it's really interesting to me.
I definitely agree, and I'm gonna be honest, I use Spotify religiously every single day. And
right.
I think it's great for exposure.
It absolutely is. Yeah. Their algorithm with their Discover Weekly playlist specifically is really, really genius. For as many we've been added to a couple quote unquote big playlists that have 100,000 followers or whatever, but they don't even compete to the amount of people that listen to us just because Spotify is quote unquote recommending them to us, which I think they're better at that than YouTube. I think they genuinely get music that matches up with people's music taste into their playlist without them even asking, which is honestly kind of scary.
Yeah, it's really crazy. I feel like I've been introduced to some of my favorite bands through the daily mixes and the Discover Weekly playlist, and it's just crazy to think that, wow, they know what I like.
Right. On the other hand, because Spotify is so good at getting you to love the song without even realize that you're hearing a new band, it's kind of hard to get people to shows. I know bands that have 200,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, like a consistent audience that's returning to listen to their song, that doesn't even follow them on Instagram, much less know they're touring, so they're not going to come out to the shows and buy the tickets,
That's so true. I kind of feel like, in a sense, Spotify is taken away from owning the physical album experience. When you're sitting there and listening to an album in full and kind of forming this connection with the band and hearing a story that they're trying to tell, and I kind of miss that, and I wish we could go back to that a little bit, but I guess that's why vinyl is super popular. So
sure, I agree completely. It's also interesting that you say that, because I've heard a few people say that to me before, and I'm grateful that that's not ever something I've been concerned with. There's not, maybe one day I'll get here, but I've never written a collection of songs or an album or an EP or anything like that where I thought I want the listener to guide this through this story with me. It's just 10 tunes. You know what I mean? I don't care what order you listen to them in.
I think that's pretty interesting. Yeah. I kind of feel like Spotify has influenced modern day music in that sense, because I don't know, we're going back to Fall Out Boy's first album. You kind of can go through with a character in mind. And then,
you can.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that it's influenced the music industry so much, which leads to my next question. If you could change one thing about the music industry as it is today, what would you change and why?
If I could change one thing?
Yes.
Oh, brutal. I don't know. I like what's going on right now. I think that well, first of all, I would make venues more accessible. There's a great organization in Portland that we've worked with a couple times now called Half Access that I'd really recommend people check out. You don't realize it as a totally able-bodied person, but music venues are some of the worst places on the planet for accessibility for people with disabilities. There's been multiple times in our very, very short tour history where my friends and I have carried people up stair sets and wheelchairs and tried to find corners of the room where they could even successfully hear the band, much less see them. And that really bums me out. And it's not a problem people talk about that much. Half Access is really the only organization that's focusing on it right now. And they've only successfully reached out to something about 60 music venues in the whole country that have given them an updated profile on their accessibility and actually worked to improve allowing wheelchair users and people that require other assistance the ability to see their show well. And I mean, 60 venues, there's thousands of venues in the country. I would really appreciate if that was talked about more. So I would say making venues accessible, and definitely tell people to check out Half Access and support them.
I'm going to be completely honest. This is the first time I've heard about this. So
Right.
I think this is something that should be discussed more. And
right. And I mean, I just literally never think about it. There's people at in wheelchairs or some sort of assisted tool at every single show you go to. You literally just don't see them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I never thought about that before, and it's pretty interesting that you brought that up. So thank you.
Yeah, of course.
So my next question for you is, what is the weirdest or funniest question you've ever been asked in an interview before?
Weirdest or funniest question? Oh, I don't know. This was back in the day, and I had somebody hit me with it. Have you ever heard someone ask what your porn star name is?
Oh my God.
Yeah, I got that in an interview once, and I remember there was this weird dude called Brian Stars, in back in 2010. Who used to ask every band he interviewed that, and it's a super funny question, but I just never thought I'd get it. And yeah, that happened once. What is it? It's the name of your first pet and the street you grew up on. So mine's Alex Piney.
Okay. So we have a question that we've been asking everyone.
Okay.
What is your opinion of releasing an artist's unreleased music after they've passed away? Should it be released or should it not?
Oh, what's the posthumous releases, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this is kind of a lame answer, I suppose, but I think it's case by case. For instance, I think that, I don't know who his team are, but I think that the music coming out after XXXTentacion's death is kind of a money grab, and I don't like it. If for no reason, then they're not quality recordings. It's really, really, really devoid of anything that he would have wanted released. Not because I know what he wanted released, but just because there weren't instrumentals. They weren't even close to finished songs, or they're just remixes of songs that were already put out. I think that feels weird. Now, that Mac Miller album that just came out a couple weeks ago, I thought that was incredible. I thought it was pretty much done. I thought he just had a finished album. And the guy that finished it for him was his best friend in the world, and really put out a long post about, I worked so hard to pretend like Mac was in the room with me and make something he would want. And I mean, it sounded so great, and they donated all the profits to some big charity. I think something like that is totally cool. Or if there's any sort of will that says, yeah, please release as much of my music as you want, all that stuff. But it's really just case by case. I think in the case of the recent Mac Miller album, it made a lot of sense, and I liked it a whole awful lot.
So one of the reasons we asked this question is we want to start a conversation about it. And one of the reasons why is because exactly with this case you mentioned with Mac Miller, we do think that was a tasteful way of releasing the album. While sometimes you listen to some other artists and it sounds like they're these weird bedroom demos or not finished tracks. So we want to try to bring it up because maybe other artists want to maybe create, as you said, this kind of will of oh, if anything, God forbid, happens to me. So.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is you just can't really know. And then I think in the case of XXXTentacion and Lil Peep, they sounded like a bunch of bedroom demos, and I personally wouldn't necessarily want a bunch of bad vocal takes out in the world of mine. But you're right. I think the Mac Miller album was done really, really tastefully, and I liked it a lot. Additionally, I think if I passed away, just release whatever you want. I don't care. I'm dead. Go for it. If you take my laptop, put it all out. I don't mind at all. So, it's just impossible to say.
No, definitely, it's so true. As of course, like as a fan, like again, I'm on the receiving end of music. I don't make music. I just kind of listen to it. So,
Right.
like as a fan, I always want to hear more. But would the artists have been happy? Like we'll never know, and that's kind of the crazy thing of what's
It is,
happening.
and it's true. It's true.
Okay, so my next question for you is, what is your favorite state that you've been to?
Oh, like as a musician or just my favorite place to be?
You can give me both if you want.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, our favorite place to play shows is Denver, Colorado. It's essentially our hometown, and we love it to death. And I would die for all the people in the music scene here. They're the best there is. I was born in Houston, Texas, and we play really, really, really great shows there as well. But I think favorite state's got to be California. I just feel at home when I'm there, and I hope to move to LA before I'm 26.
My roommate's from California, so she always tells
Is
me.
that right? Nice.
Yes, she's from Sacramento. So.
I love New York too. But I've only been for a couple days, and I really want to go and like live in the city for a few weeks.
Really?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm just like Airbnb style, but I would love to just feel that experience. You know what I mean?
I kind of feel like living here. I'm from Staten Island.
Sure.
Like the city's so close, but I always forget it's kind of there because it's just kind of it's just
Right.
there. Like
Yeah, I know. That's what I hear.
yeah, and like being from Staten Island, sadly there isn't a huge local music scene here. So I live vicariously through everybody else. So what's the music scene like in Colorado?
Right. The music scene in Colorado, man, it's crazy. Everyone here is so hyper supportive of the bands that they care about, and they show up to shows consistently. And their friends are made and had in the music scene, as opposed to like, well, I have friends at school and I bring them to shows. It's not like that. Like the friends are at the shows. You meet them there. You meet up with them later, and I've never really seen something like that anywhere else. It kind of just seems like kids bring their friends from school to the shows, and it's really incredible. And I think if you talk to most other bands and you ask them where their favorite place to stop on tour is, a lot of them say, man, yeah, every time we stop in Denver, it's pretty cool. And they go hard at shows too. I know towns and states, and I won't name names, that really stand there and stare at you regardless of how big you are. I have watched Bring Me the Horizon not get a crowd to move at all. Just like asking them to dance and move in a stadium of 15,000 people, and they all just stood there, and it's weird.
Yeah, definitely that can be very strange. Like,
Yeah.
So my next question for you is, what music are you currently listening to?
That's a good question. It changes all the time. I've been on a big All-Star Weekend kick. I don't know if you ever listened to that band.
I don't know.
I'm always listening to the Jonas Brothers, but I've had some more Big Time Rush in my life recently.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. That new Tiny Meat Gang song, "Broke Bitch" by Tiny Meat Gang, super sick. And Maggie Schneider, exclusive scoop. We're playing a few shows with this girl named Maggie Schneider, so everyone should go check her out. Oh, and the Pussycat Dolls are putting out a new album. That's going to be super sick too.
Do you mind telling me a little bit more about these shows you're doing with Maggie Schneider?
No, not at all.
Okay.
So I'll just freaking tell you. Tentatively, we are touring from June 4th to June 25th. It's going to be a full U.S. It's going to be 19 days. There should be 4 different opening acts on it. But Maggie Schneider will definitely be on 1 week of that tour, and I'm really excited to play with her. I've never met her or even spoken to her. I've just been listening to her as a fan, so I was really excited to hear that she was going to be on it. And I think another band called Last Night Saved My Life is going to be joining us, and then we've still got some work to do. So I don't think my booking will be too mad at telling you all that, especially since I'm not giving you any dates since I don't have any yet.
What's your favorite part of touring?
The shows, absolutely. Honestly, everything else is kind of hard. That half an hour a day absolutely makes it worth it. It's the best part of my year. Anytime anyone asks me, if someone asks me how 2019 was, I talk about the Happy Tour. That's what I say. Yeah, I mean, it's long drives and you're not home, which is a part that I love. But our everyone else has families that they're trying to get back to and stuff. So that can be difficult, and you just get tired. It's exhausting. It is like one of the most exhausting things I think anyone can ever do. But my God, the adrenaline hits every single night you're on stage, whether it's a good show or a bad show, and I live for it. So definitely performing.
Do you have any pre-show rituals or superstitions?
We don't have any rituals. We get, the four of us collectively get really, really anxious about setup, because we've never had a good setup in a bad show. Does that make sense?
Yes.
If we set up correctly,
Uh-huh.
the show will go well.
Okay.
If something goes wrong in setup, we can have a good show, but we've never, like, the only version of having a bad show is when something messed up during the setup. So it's really just all of us white knuckling through, like, plugging everything in, crossing our fingers that it all works. And then as soon as it all works, we take a deep breath and we just start. We just say, "All right, we're not my weekend." Maybe one day when we all hate each other a little more, we'll get some sort of team bonding thing going on.
I kind of feel like you guys taking part in setting up everything in a way where you, like, know it's gonna work because you did it yourself. It kind of makes sense, and I feel like that would definitely ease any anxiety.
Yeah, so specifically myself and our drummer Noah care so freaking much and get pretty anxious about that part specifically. And then Ed is Mr. Fix-It. Ed knows exactly how everything's happening. But it's just nerve-wracking because every venue you play is different. So there's no guarantee that when you plug your amp in at one venue and it turns on, that it's going to plug in and turn on at the next one. So it's a lot of problem solving, and, you know, people expect you to have your gear on stage and playing within 15 minutes, which is just not something that you would ever deal with in a home environment. So it's really just making sure we have all our ducks in an order. And then as soon as it's all set up, well, we all just look at each other and we're like, "Oh, this is going to be so much fun." So, yeah.
If you didn't become a musician, what would you be doing?
I don't know. That's a good question. I really like just entertainment in general. I'm making most of my money right now selling T-shirts on an app called TikTok. So I'd like to think that would be working out with or without the music.
Okay. So
yeah, all I do for work right now is I deliver for DoorDash and I post on that app. So I like to think that would still be working out. But yeah, everyone follow me on TikTok at Patrick Gilchrist, and check out the band on there too. Yes.
You're going on a road trip. What are top 3 songs in your playlist?
Top 3 songs. Oh, "Life is a Highway" by Rascal Flatts. What's the one I'm forgetting?
All Star by Smash Mouth.
No, not All Star by Smash Mouth. "Life is a Highway." Oh, "Rockstar" by Nickelback. Thank you. Sorry. And then, I'm forgetting the big one. Oh, "One Week" by the Bare Naked Ladies. That's it.
Nice. That's a pretty good combination. I feel
That's
like
that's the road trip list. I think. Oh my goodness, and "Smoko" by the Chats. I forgot "Smoko" by the Chats. Put all 4 on.
Okay, will do. I kind of feel like that'd be a fun car ride.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a band tradition that we have to listen to "Smoko" by the Chats two times every time we start a drive. So.
Huh, that's pretty interesting.
It's a hilarious song.
Okay, I have some Spitfire questions for you if you're ready. You'll have like
Love it.
Okay, I'm just gonna say a question and whatever pops into your head first, just say what it is. Okay.
You got it.
Favorite color.
Red.
Favorite book.
Percy Jackson.
Favorite movie.
Avengers Endgame.
Favorite TV show.
Digimon Season 3.
If you could go any place in the world, where would you go?
Back to Tokyo.
Interesting. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah.
I'll comment on that in a minute. Favorite food.
Pizza. Oh, that sucks.
And favorite album in your personal collection.
The Fall Out Boy's "Folly You Do" yellow variant.
And if you could be any utensil in the kitchen, what would you be?
Little spoon.
Okay, amazing. So those are my Spitfire questions. What'd you major in?
Philosophy.
Okay. Do you have a favorite philosopher?
I think Aristotle mostly knew what he was talking about. And I like a guy named Epictetus, I think is really, really, really smart. And he practices his own form of stoicism called Epicurean stoicism. And I try and practice that in my daily life. So yeah, Epictetus he's the dude.
What are your goals for 2020?
Goals for 2020. Hold on, I got them written down. We would like to sign with New Booking, which we've done. So that's awesome. That happened. We're going to release an LP. We're going to release 2 to 3 singles. We're going to do that summer tour I already told you about. We're going to tour some more in the fall. We're going to land an opening spot, fingers crossed, and we want to hit 100 days of tour before the year's over. So that's it.
I love that you have a list of goals.
Oh my goodness. Everything we do is written down months and months before it happens. If it and a lot of it doesn't happen. So I can't imagine how much we would get done if we weren't thinking about it.
But I feel like it's like so satisfying to like cross something off the list and be like, look, it's accomplished. Like,
it absolutely is. And also, I mean, people, I think a lot of bands don't realize it. You can kind of get away with doing it when you're in charge of 4 people, but if you're as successful as you want to be, you got to start reining in a couple dozen people to work for you, and you got to have things written down and organized to keep everybody on the same page. So we try really hard to act more professional than our success level is.
you mentioned an LP. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Yeah, it is done. We've had a little trouble mixing it because we had to go back and forth when we were making it between Portland and Texas because of some family stuff that my family was going through. And then also our producer had some family stuff that he was going through. So it's the record itself has seen some hard times, but it's being mixed right now. We've got one master done. There will be new music before those June dates. I don't know if it'll be the whole LP, but it will come out in 2020 for sure.
That's super exciting. I can't wait to listen to it when it drops. So
I appreciate that. It's really, really happy. Lots of beach vibes.
Love beach vibes. Perfect for summer.
Absolutely. That's the goal.
So I greatly appreciate you talking with me. It really means a lot to me, and for taking the time out of your day. Thank you.
No, absolutely. I appreciate you wanting to do the interview at all. This has been probably my favorite interview I've done. So
oh, really? It. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. You're the first person to not ask like the same 10 questions. You let me talk about Half Access, which no one's ever gotten me to before, and I love that. I love that organization. So you're the best, for real.
Oh, thank you so much for talking with me. I really appreciate it. I had a great time. It was a pleasure.
Of course. No, so did I.
Okay. So thank you again, and I hope you have a great day and enjoy the rest of your drive.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.